If you want to understand the power that the mind holds within it, this book is for you. This book is great for anyone who is wanting to see big changes in their life. From the title, Think and Grow Rich, most people would think that this book is only about money. However, that is not the case. The author clearly states that it is his goal to help people to improve not only their finances, but their lives. By reading Think and Grow Rich, I was reminded that there is nothing that I cannot do. I became motivated to take action in many different areas of my life in order to grow my wealth as well as improve my mindset. I think that this is one of the most important lessons in this book, because if we do not take the time to improve our mindset, our lives really can't improve at all. Using your mind to get what you want. The thoughts that you have are extremely powerful. They direct your path in your life, they determine how you feel, and they can help you to get everything that you want. When you have a deep desire within you for something, you can use your thoughts to manifest that thing that you desire into your life. Edwin C. Barnes did this in his life. He wanted more than anything to work with Edison. Barnes did not want to work for Edison. His desire was to work alongside him. Barnes learned that he was not going to see his desire come to life overnight, but instead, it was something that was going to happen little by little. When the desire first started to grow within Barnes, he was not in a position where he would be able to work with Edison. That desire started simply as something that he wanted to do. Soon, Barnes began to act upon this desire. There were two problems that stood in his way. The first problem was that Barnes did not have the money to travel to where Edison was, and the second problem was that Barnes did not personally know Edison. The two had never met. Barnes did not let this stand in his way. He decided that in order to get where he needed to be, Orange, New Jersey, he would travel on a freight train. Once he arrived in Orange, he went straight to Edison's lab and stated that he had come to go into business with him. Can you imagine how he looked when he presented himself to Edison, just off the freight train, his clothes and hair a mess? But Edison stated later that there was something in Barnes's expression that told him he was determined to get what he wanted. Of course, Barnes did not immediately start working with Edison. Instead, he started working for Edison. This was Barnes's chance to show Edison what he was made of. Barnes had made up his mind that he was going to go into business with Edison, and he was not going to give up. Barnes never gave up on getting what he wanted, but instead, he'd allowed that desire to grow stronger until he went into business with Edison. He ultimately got what he wanted because he refused to give up. Opportunity comes to us in many different forms. Barnes was given the opportunity to work for Edison, and while it was not what he desired, he used that opportunity to get him closer to what he wanted. Oftentimes in our lives, opportunity comes to us disguised. Sometimes it can look like misfortune, or it can cause us to feel as if we are defeated. This could be one of the reasons that so many people struggle to recognize opportunity when it comes their way. That is exactly what happened to one man as he was digging for gold. R.U. Darby had found a vein of gold during the days of the gold rush. He had found one of the richest gold mines in Colorado. However, the vein ran dry. There was no more gold. Darby continued to drill, desperately trying to find more gold, to pick up on the vein, but he was never able to. Soon, Darby quit trying, sold all of his equipment to a junkman, and headed home. The junkman had an idea. He found a mining engineer and had them take a look at the mine. After doing a few calculations, the vein was found just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped digging. Millions of dollars were made from the mine because this junkman knew to ask an expert for advice. Darby missed out because he stopped just 3 feet short. The opportunity was there, but Darby failed to take advantage of it. When you begin using the principles described in Think and Grow Rich, you will find that there are opportunities everywhere if you are willing to acknowledge them and take advantage of them. Once you begin seeing these opportunities, you are going to see them everywhere. You may wonder where they were hiding before, but the truth is that they were right in front of you. You simply could not see them. These opportunities are going to bring with them an abundance of wealth if you are willing to put the principles that we are going to talk about into action. As you apply these principles in your life, everything that you touch is going to prosper. Nothing will be impossible for you. All achievement starts with desire. A desire is much different from a hope or a wish. It is something that is growing deeply within you. It is something that you are willing to work towards, something that you are willing to take action upon. When we think about Barnes in the last chapter, we can see that his desire to work with Edison was so strong that he was willing to do anything to reach that goal. Barnes achieved his success because he had a goal that was well defined. He knew exactly what he was working towards. He put all of his effort and all of his willpower into reaching that one goal. He did not give up because his goal was not reached overnight, but instead he was willing to work for Edison doing jobs that Edison could not be bothered with. From there, he was able to prove himself to Edison because he never lost sight of his goal. He never lost hope. Every single person, as they reach an age of understanding of what money is, wishes to be rich. The problem is that wishing is not going to bring riches to you. However, when you desire wealth to the point that it becomes an obsession, you will begin to plan ways to acquire those riches, and you will take action on those plans. You will set goals and do whatever it takes to reach those goals. There are 6 steps that you must complete in order for you to see your desires fulfilled. Step 1. Determine the exact amount of money that you desire. It is not enough for you to just say, "I want to be rich," or "I want a lot of money." How much money? Come up with a specific amount. There is a reason for this, which we will talk about a little bit later. Do you know how much money you desire? You can choose a lump sum or a monthly amount, whichever works best for you. Step 2. What are you willing to do for that money? There is no such thing as free money. You're going to have to give something in order to see this desire fulfilled. What are you willing to give? Step 3. Determine what date you want to see this accomplished by. If you have chosen a lump sum, when do you want to have that amount of money in the bank? If you have decided that you are going to work toward a monthly amount, you will need to determine when you intend for that amount to be coming in each month. You have to be realistic about this. You cannot simply state that you want $1 million by tomorrow and expect it to happen. Step 4. Create your plan. You are going to have a plan that is going to lead you to seeing your desires fulfilled. You will begin with a goal and then create a roadmap for you to follow to ensure that you reach that goal. This means that you are going to have to break that goal down into smaller goals that you can work toward every single day. Start taking action. Step 5. Grab a sheet of paper and write everything down. Create a statement indicating everything that you just did. Write down the amount of money, what you are willing to do for the money, the date that you intend to have the money, and your plan. Keep this paper where you can find it. Step 6. Read your statement every single day, no less than twice per day. Do you really believe it when you read it, or are the words just words on a piece of paper? If you want to obtain the amount of money that you desire, you are going to have to believe your statement. As you read your statement, visualize yourself having the money already in your hands. Feel the money. See the money. Use all of your senses as if you already have the money. It is very important that you follow each of these steps, but the most important of all of the steps is the last one. You may feel that it is impossible for you to visualize having the money already. However, if you truly desire the money, that desire is going to help you convince your subconscious that you already have it. You have to become saturated with your desire for money if you ever want to attain it, which means that you desire it so much that you can already see yourself having it. If you have never learned about the power of the mind, this may seem a little strange or impractical to you. However, these principles are used every day by some of the most successful people all over the world. Andrew Carnegie, who started out working in the steel mills, used these principles in order to create a fortune that is worth well over $100 million. In order to follow these steps, you do not need a special education. You do not have to work extremely hard. You do not have to make a bunch of sacrifices, but instead, you just need imagination. Everyone must understand that before anyone has accumulated any type of wealth, they started out by dreaming of it and then desiring it. That desire led to them planning how they would obtain it, and then they followed their plan. Right now, you have to know that you are never going to be able to obtain wealth unless you can create a deep desire for it, and you believe that you can obtain it. If you do not believe that you can obtain it, it will not be possible. We currently live in a time when it is possible for anyone to create wealth. Think and Grow Rich was written just after the Great Depression. However, the principles still apply today. There are so many opportunities open to all of us today, possibly more than ever before, that can allow us all to become wealthy and have all of the things that we desire. Without faith, belief, and visualization, nothing is possible. Faith is something that many people struggle with. With it, all things are possible. Without it, we can do nothing. It is a state of mind that you can create. Yes, you can create faith, By using autosuggestion or affirmations, faith can be created. Let's look at it like this. You are reading this because you want to take your desire and turn it into wealth. By using autosuggestion, you can convince your subconscious mind that you believe that you are going to receive that which you desire. Your subconscious mind is going to then return faith to you, as well as plans that will help you to obtain that which you desire. By using affirmations, you can develop faith. Affirmations are simply phrases that you repeat to yourself, even if they are not true, in order to convince your subconscious that they are true. For example, money comes to me from all directions. Sure, money may not flow to you from every direction, but as long as you repeat these 10 times per day for about 30 days, your subconscious will believe it. This will result in faith being produced in the subconscious because your subconscious will believe that affirmation. Then it is going to be followed by plans to help you create ways for money to flow to you. You see, any thought that is repeatedly placed into the subconscious will at some point be accepted and then acted upon. This means that if you use autosuggestion, you're going to be able to convince your subconscious mind of anything, therefore causing your subconscious to act upon that thought. When there is a strong emotion behind that thought or affirmation, your subconscious is going to believe it much faster, creating large amounts of faith. It is important to remember that while the subconscious will produce faith when it is provided positive affirmations, it will also act upon any negative affirmations that you feed it as well. When a person believes that they are going to live in poverty their entire life because they have no control over their finances, this is what they are telling the subconscious, and that is what it is going to act upon. This means that if you are telling your subconscious that you are always going to live in poverty, your subconscious is going to provide you with plans to ensure that is exactly what happens. This is why in the first chapter you were asked to write out your statement and to repeat it to yourself no less than twice per day, every day. You are planting a seed in your subconscious mind, which will grow into faith and result in plans. Self-confidence can also be improved through autosuggestion. The thoughts that dominate your mind are going to turn into action and transform themselves into your reality. What this means is that if you are lacking in self-confidence, this is what is going to transform into your reality. Therefore, it is important for you to take 30 minutes each day and focus on your thoughts. You will want to focus on the person that you are striving to become. Create a clear picture in your mind of this person. Take 10 minutes out of each day and spend it focusing on self-confidence. We also have to understand that wealth is not going to endure if it is built upon lies. This is why it is very important to make sure that you are only taking part in activities that are going to benefit everyone that it affects. This will only encourage other people to work with you or to purchase the goods or services that you are offering. Jealousy, hatred, and selfishness should be eliminated from your life. Having a negative attitude in your life is never going to bring you success. By believing in yourself and in others, you will cause them to believe in you. As you are focusing on autosuggestion, you have to remind yourself that the subconscious is not going to distinguish between destructive and constructive thoughts. It is not going to reject the destructive thoughts, but it will instead accept them just as it would any constructive thoughts. This is why it is very important for you to pay attention to every thought that you think. Your subconscious is going to work to translate those thoughts driven by fear into your reality just as much as it will those thoughts that are driven by faith. Your thoughts have the ability to lift you up or to tear you down. You can use them to create the life that you desire, or you can allow them to create a life filled with stress and unhappiness. Remember, if you believe that you can't, you won't. If you believe that you are going to fail, you will. If you believe that you will succeed, success will be yours. Let's for a moment talk about Abraham Lincoln. He failed at everything that he tried to do all the way until he was in his 40s. He was a nobody, and yet he refused to give up. Imagine where the world would be today if Lincoln had given up, if he had not continued to try. He did not allow his thoughts or his failure to bring him down. Today, he is known as one of the greatest men to have ever lived. The world would not be what it is today if Lincoln had given up. Throughout history, men and women have changed the course of the world because they refused to give up. Even when they faced failure, even when the world told them that they couldn't do something, they held on to their faith and they continued on. Using autosuggestion to influence the subconscious mind. We already know that autosuggestion is a term that applies to all of the thoughts that you feed your subconscious mind. These thoughts can be positive or they can be negative. Your subconscious is not going to differentiate between the positive and the negative thoughts, but instead it is going to accept the thoughts that you feed it the most. Think of it like this. Your mind is a fertile garden. Negative thoughts are weeds that grow in the garden. If you do not put the work in to sow better seeds, positive thoughts, the weeds will take over. According to the author of Think and Grow Rich, every person has control over the thoughts that reach their subconscious mind. The problem is that most people do not take control over their thoughts, which allows the weeds to grow in their garden. By using autosuggestion or affirmations, you can take control of the thoughts which are feeding your subconscious mind and manifesting into your reality. We talked in the first chapter about reading your desire for money statement out loud twice per day. By doing this, you are communicating that desire to your subconscious mind. In order to make it work, in order for you to see these desires fulfilled, the affirmation must be backed by faith and desire. You see, I can state that I am going to do something 1,000,000 times. However, if my words are not backed by faith, which results in action, I will never do that thing. Repetition is also extremely important. By simply reading your statement or affirmations to yourself once, you are not going to see a difference. It is through repetition that change is made. You should not feel discouraged as you first start out. It is understandable that the first couple of times that you read your affirmations aloud, you would feel a bit awkward and they would not be filled with emotion. That is normal. As you continue to practice reading your statement or affirmation aloud each day, try to feel the emotions behind the words that you have written down. When you begin feeling those emotions, you are going to know that you are making a change in your subconscious mind. Take the time to concentrate on what it is that you desire. For example, the specific amount of money that you decided upon in the beginning of the book. Close your eyes and concentrate on that amount of money. Visualize that amount of money sitting in front of you. Feel the money and smell the money as if you were in the same room as it. Use your mind to make it feel so real that you expect that money to be sitting in front of you when you open your eyes. This is a simple trick that you can use to make your subconscious mind believe, which will result in faith. You don't have to wait to come up with a definitive plan before you start taking action. You can start doing research on the different ways that you can obtain the money that you desire. Or simply start making plans as to how that money is going to be used once you have it in your hands. If you continue to put off taking action because you do not have a plan laid out as to how to obtain the money, you will never start taking action. Instead, you will always be looking for the best plan or telling yourself that your ideas will not work. Experience and knowledge. There are two different types of knowledge that you are going to obtain in your life. The first type of knowledge is general knowledge. This is the stuff that you learn while you are in school. You take the time to cover all of the subjects and learn a little about each of them. General knowledge does not get you very far in life. General knowledge is not going to help you to create a plan of action. It is not going to help you obtain wealth. The second type of knowledge is specialized knowledge. Before you can obtain your wealth, you are going to need specialized knowledge. This is knowledge about the specific service, product, or profession that you intend to use to obtain the money you desire. The first thing that you need to do is to determine what specialized knowledge you are going to need. This is going to depend on what your goal is, what service or product you are going to be providing. Then you need to think about how you are going to obtain this knowledge. There are several sources that you can go to in order to obtain this knowledge. 1. Your own personal experiences and your education. 2. You can gain experience and education through cooperation of others. 3. Through colleges or universities. 4. Through the public library. Given that Think and Grow Rich was written before the invention of the Internet may be a better option today. 5. Through specialized training courses. As this knowledge is acquired, you must put it to use. Knowledge has no purpose if it is not used practically. Use the knowledge that you gain to create your plans that will lead you to obtaining the wealth that you desire. If you decide that you want to go back to school in order to gain the specialized knowledge that you will need in order to reach your goal, make sure that the knowledge that you are going to use will be beneficial. The majority of the specialized knowledge that you are going to need is going to come from personal experiences, not a textbook. As you work toward your goal, you should continue to gain specialized knowledge. Those that are the most successful in life know that gaining specialized knowledge is only going to help them become more successful. It is those that fail who believe that they know everything they need to know. The importance of imagination. The imagination is the place in the mind where every plan is created. It is within the imagination that the desire of a person is shaped. This is where it begins to take form and where action starts taking place. Have you ever heard it said that a person can create anything that they can imagine? The author states that of all of the times that were the best for the development of the imagination, it was when the book was written, right after the Great Depression, due to all of the changes that were taking place. Yet the same can be said for today. We have the ability at every turn to come into contact with stimuli which helps us to develop our imagination if we are willing to accept the opportunity. Your only limitation in life is your imagination. There are two forms of imagination. You have a synthetic imagination as well as a creative imagination. The synthetic imagination creates nothing. It works from what you feed it. The creative imagination, on the other hand, is where everything is created. It provides you with inspiration and ideas. When your conscious mind is stimulated, the imagination becomes stronger. Your conscious mind can be stimulated by a strong desire, the kind that you have to obtain wealth. The most successful people in all different industries became so successful because they had a very developed creative imagination. As we grow older, our imagination becomes weak because it is like any other part of the body. If it is not exercised regularly, it will become weak. This means that you are going to have to start using your imagination in order for it to grow stronger. Turning desire into action. So far you have learned that everything that a person creates or anything that they acquire begins with a desire. That desire begins to grow in the imagination and plans begin being created so that the desire can be manifested into reality. In the first chapter of the book, you were instructed to create a plan. This plan was to include the specific amount of money that you wanted to attain, as well as how you planned on attaining it. Now it is time for you to build on that plan, to create a practical plan that is going to work for you. You should begin by surrounding yourself with the people that you will need close to you in order to see your desires fulfilled. In order to do this, you are going to have to know what benefits you are bringing to those that you will need for your own success. How are you going to compensate them for helping you? It is important to remember that no one is going to work for free. Even if you try to convince someone that you are going to have plenty of money down the road to pay them, they are going to want some type of compensation for the work they are doing for you. The good news is that the compensation does not have to be money. Plan on meeting with those in your group at least twice per week in order to come up with the perfect plan for you to acquire the money that you desire. Maintain harmony with everyone in the group. You do not want to risk getting into an argument with someone in the group because you could be risking your own personal success. Instead, focus on maintaining harmony within the group and with each person. Remember this. 1. You are engaging in something that is extremely important to you. In order to ensure that you see the success that you desire, you must create a plan that is sure to get you there. 2. You have to take advantage of the knowledge and experiences of other people. 3. If your first plan does not work out, create another. If the second plan does not work out, create another. Continue this until you reach the success that you desire. 4. Thomas Edison failed no less than 10,000 times before he finally invented the light bulb. Failure does not mean that you should give up. 5. Failure means only one thing. That is that you now know what is not going to work. Figure out what will work. 6. Your success is going to be no greater than your plans. If you have mediocre plans, your success will be mediocre as well. 7. A quitter is never going to win, and a winner will never quit. Write this sentence on a sheet of paper and keep it where you will see it every day. 8. Many people believe that you have to have money in order to make money, but this is completely false. There are many ways for you to obtain the money that you desire without having any money to start out with. Anyone who believes that it takes money in order to make money does not understand the way that the mind works. If you are applying for a position within a company in order to create opportunities for you to obtain the wealth that you desire, you will want to make sure that you create an outstanding resume. If you are applying at multiple companies for multiple positions, you will want to create a separate resume specifically for the job you are applying for. If you are considering providing a service or selling a product, you need to evaluate your QQS rating. Your QQS rating is the quality and the quantity of the service that you provide. How good is your quality? Are you providing your customers with a product that they will be happy with, or just providing them with a product so that you can get paid? If the product or service is not of high quality, you are not going to be able to keep your customers. Quantity is next. Are you providing your customers with exactly what they asked for, or are you going a little bit above and beyond what is required? Finally, the S is for spirit. Customers can tell the spirit in which the product or service is supplied to them. If the service is not provided to the customer in a spirit of cooperation, they are going to know. Focusing on your QQS rating will help you to provide services or products that people continually come back for. Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the main causes of failure. Most of the time, this procrastination is caused by the lack of decision. It is the inability to make a decision which can cause businesses to fail. Oftentimes, we find that decisions have to be made quickly in the business world. Changes have to be made quickly as well. Most of the time, when a person fails to accumulate the money that they desire, it is because they are easily influenced by other people's opinions. They allow what the newspapers say, their neighbors, friends, and family to do all of their thinking for them instead of doing it for themselves. If you allow yourself to be influenced by other people's opinions, you are never going to have any true desire of your own. Take the time to form your own opinions. Do your own research and be your own counsel. Do not allow anyone to influence your opinions or your desires. Your friends and your family, even though they do not mean to, can influence your desires and make it impossible for you to ever discover your own desires. So many people live their lives with an inferiority complex because at some point, someone, while they may have been well-meaning, destroyed the person's confidence, usually by demeaning or ridiculing their desires. We are all given a mind of our own. We all have the ability to use our own minds and determine what our own desires will be. It is so important for you to reach your own decisions and not let other people's opinions influence you. If you need to ask people for information or facts, that is fine, but do it in a way that does not disclose your reason. Today, people talk too much and they listen too little. Everyone would do good to keep their eyes and their ears open just a little more and their mouths closed. If you spend more time talking more than you spend listening, then you are depriving your chance of learning from those around you, and chances are that you are divulging far too much information about your plans. You can talk about your plans all you want after you fulfill them. Do not allow people to know what your plans are, because there are people out there who are going to do everything they can in order to derail you simply because of envy. It is also important to remember that everyone that you come into contact with each day, whether they are your friends, family, or co-workers, are trying to do the same thing that you are: acquire wealth. If you talk about your plans too freely, someone may end up beating you to that wealth by taking action toward your goal before you do. The importance of sustained effort. Persistence is vital if you want to see your desires manifested into reality. Your ability to persist in your effort is going to come from your willpower and your desire combined. When the two are combined, you will become unstoppable. Have you ever noticed that many people who are extremely successful are described as ruthless or cold? Perhaps they are not really cold or ruthless, but instead, they are misunderstood. It is possible that they had so much desire and willpower that they were not going to let anything get in the way of them reaching their goals. This is the type of sustained effort that you are going to need. Following your plan persistently is going to lead you to success. Most of the time, when a person comes up with a plan, they will begin to work toward it, but as soon as they see any sign of trouble, they are ready to throw in the towel. Very few will continue to carry on despite the struggles that they face. Lack of persistence is one of the main reasons that people fail, and it is one of the most common weaknesses that people face. If you follow all of the information in this book but lack persistence, you are not going to see your desires fulfilled. Persistence is key to your success. You can develop persistence by using autosuggestion, as talked about earlier in this book. By using autosuggestion or affirmations, you can convince your subconscious mind that you are persistent. Once this is done, the subconscious mind is going to make every effort possible to make sure that you are being persistent in your efforts. If you are not persistent in what you do, you are going to be defeated before you ever get started. On the other hand, if you are persistent, you are guaranteed to win. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and found yourself caught in a nightmare? You may have found that you were paralyzed, completely unable to move. You focused hard and began moving one of your fingers, then another, and another, until you were able to move your entire hand. This led you to being able to move more and more until you were pulled out of the nightmare and back into reality. Because you were persistent, you were able to gain control of your body back. You continued to try until you were able to take control of your body and escape the nightmare that you felt stuck in. Persistence in every other area of your life works in the same way. You may start out only being able to do a little bit, but the more persistent you are, the more you will be able to do, and soon you will have control of the situation. Be persistent in everything that you do, no matter how slowly you have to start off. Power of the mastermind. Power is an essential part of success when it comes to accumulating wealth. Without power, all of the plans that a person creates are useless. It is power which turns those plans into action. How can you attain that type of power? Before we can understand how to attain power, we first have to understand what it is. Power is knowledge that has been organized and is being directed toward a specific goal. If we look at power this way, we can begin to understand how to attain it. 1. Intelligence. You will gain intelligence as you learn new things in life. The author also states that you can gain intelligence through creative imagination. 2. Experience. The experiences that you go through in your life are going to give you a lot of knowledge, but you can also gain experience by learning about the things that other people have done. Learn from the experience of others by reading about them and the things that they have done in their lives. 3. Experimentation and researching. When your experience is not enough, you will have to do some research as well as experimentation in order to obtain the power that you desire. You can acquire knowledge from many different sources. This knowledge will then be converted into power by using it to create plans and taking action on those plans. If a person were to depend on their efforts alone without the use of the power that comes along with knowledge, they would never see success or the accumulation of wealth. In this book, the author talks about putting together a mastermind group. This group will consist of people who are willing to aid you in your goal of attaining wealth. These people are the ones that are going to help you make decisions as you work toward your goals. They are going to be the ones that will be there for you to obtain knowledge from. Poverty and riches tend to change places with each other. Poverty can be found where riches once were, and riches can be found where poverty once resided. When wealth takes the place of poverty, it is usually because plans were created and executed based on knowledge that the person obtained through intelligence, experience, research, and experimentation. Poverty is found where there is no plan. No one has to work toward poverty. It takes no knowledge, and it requires no action. Riches, on the other hand, must be worked toward. They must be attracted into our lives. Anyone can wish for wealth. Most people spend at least some of their time wishing for wealth. However, very few know how to obtain it. Very few people know that having the deep desire for wealth and creating plans to obtain that wealth is the only way that anyone can reach their goal of becoming rich. Transferring sexual energy. When most people think of sex, they think of something physical. However, all physical feelings or emotions begin in the mind. Sex has several different benefits, including reproduction, many different health benefits, and allowing a person to transform mediocrity into genius. Transforming your sexual energy into another form of energy is quite simple. In fact, it is something that many people do without even knowing it. All a person has to do is take the thoughts of the physical expression of their sexual energy and transfer that energy into some other form. Sexual desire is the most powerful of all desires. When a person is driven by this desire, they become courageous, creative, and persistent. They will risk everything in order to indulge in their sexual desires. When sexual energy is harnessed and redirected, all of those attributes, courageousness, creativity, persistence, and so on, will remain. This means that you can take all of those attributes and apply them to whatever area in your life you are applying that sexual energy, for example, obtaining wealth. This is known as transmutation of sexual energy. Sexual desire is natural to all humans, and it should not be eliminated. Instead, it should be given an outlet that will enrich the person that feels such. Many people will try to ignore their sexual desire, but like a river that has been dammed, it will find an outlet. It is important for you to remain in control of whatever that outlet is, ensuring that it is something that you will benefit from. Not taking control of your sexual desire could put you in a position where you will accept an outlet that is not worthy of your desires. Studies have shown that the sixth sense may be more real than imagination. When the mind is stimulated, it can reach a level of thought that is far above anything that we call normal. This is when dreams are created, desires are understood, and every new idea formed. When the mind reaches this higher plane of thought, it is able to experience freedom. When we use the sixth sense, we are able to become more alert and receptive to the ideas that originate in the subconscious. The sixth sense can be described as that still small voice that we all have within us that tells us when something doesn't feel right or when we should be doing something differently. It is the hunches that we get as we go about our day. The best writers, musicians, and artists became the best because they listened to that still small voice. The majority of men will not see success before they reach the age of 40, and more often than not, they do not really hit their stride until they are 50 or older. Studies have shown that this is the case because the majority of men focus all of their sexual energy on, well, sex. The majority of people do not ever learn that their sexual energy can be applied to other areas of their life that can be much more profitable. Sexual desire is by far the strongest of all of the human feelings. Because of this, when this feeling is harnessed and the energy is turned into action, men and women alike can reach a genius status. If driven by nothing more than sexual energy, anyone can reach success in their life. Sadly, history has shown that when wealth is obtained this way, the person who has obtained it has a very hard time holding on to it. However, when meditation and knowledge is applied, along with the sexual energy, it has been shown that people are more likely to hold on to the wealth that they obtain. The importance of your subconscious. Every person is able to plant ideas into their subconscious mind voluntarily. When a thought is planted in the subconscious mind and backed by deep desire and faith, the subconscious mind will begin working on it almost immediately. As the subconscious mind begins to work, it begins creating ideas, making connections and plans to help you get that which you desire. The subconscious mind is constantly at work. It works when you are awake, focusing on the tasks that you need to complete each day, and it works while you are asleep, dreaming about a world filled with riches. Humans do not have the ability to control the subconscious mind. However, we do have the ability to plant seeds in the subconscious through affirmations and meditation so that we can obtain the things in life that we desire the most. Once you accept that the subconscious mind does exist and you are willing to understand all of the possibilities that it holds, you will begin to understand why it is so important for you to write down those things that you desire the most and read them every day. It should also be clear to you why it is so necessary for you to be persistent as you do this. Persistence is like the water and sunshine that is going to help the seed that you plant into your subconscious mind grow. The subconscious mind does not have the ability to remain idle. It is either going to focus on the desires that you plant in it, or it is going to feed on the thoughts which are fed to it each day, however negative they may be. Every thought that you have every day that you are alive is reaching your subconscious mind. Now is the time for you to shut down the flow of negative thoughts to your subconscious mind in order to see positive changes in your life. When you are able to do this, you are going to have the key to controlling your subconscious. You're going to be able to ensure that no negative thought is able to reach your subconscious mind. Everything that is created starts with a thought. Nothing can be conceived without it first being a thought. The imagination takes control of those thoughts and they begin turning into plans. These thoughts and plans are planted into the subconscious mind, backed by faith, and it is there that they start to grow. The thoughts that we think are sent to our subconscious, where they become like a magnet, attracting what we are sending out. What this means is that if you are sending out negative thoughts, negative is what is going to be attracted to you. If on the other hand you are sending out positive thoughts, positive is what will be attracted to you. Because the subconscious is more susceptible to the thoughts that are backed by emotions, you must start paying attention to the emotions that you are allowing yourself to feel. If you have a negative thought that is backed by a lot of anger, the subconscious mind is going to be more susceptible to that thought than other thoughts you may have. That one negative thought can draw a lot of negativity into your life. It is the emotions that we have behind our thoughts that tell our subconscious whether action should be taken or not. When there is strong emotion behind a thought, whether good or bad, that is the thought that the subconscious is going to act upon. If you want to turn that desire that you have for wealth into reality, you have to understand how important the subconscious mind is. You must make sure that you are speaking the language of your subconscious mind in order to get the results that you want. There are 7 major emotions that are positive. These are the emotions that you want to focus on in order to see your desire manifest. 1. Desire. 2. Faith. 3. Love. 4. Sex. 5. Enthusiasm. 6. Romance. 7. Hope. Of course, there are plenty of other positive emotions, but when it comes to the subconscious mind, these are the most powerful. When you become the master of these 7 positive emotions, you can become the master of your subconscious mind. There are also 7 major emotions that are negative that will affect your subconscious as much, if not more, than the positive emotions. They include 1. Fear, 2. Jealousy, 3. Hatred, 4. Revenge, 5. Greed, 6. Superstition, 7. Anger. The mind cannot be occupied by both positive and negative emotions at the same time. One type or the other is going to be dominant. It is up to you to make sure that the dominant emotion that is occupying your mind is positive. You can do this by forming a habit of applying positive emotions. When you make it a habit of applying positive emotions to every situation in your life, you are going to find that soon it starts to come naturally to you. Sending and receiving vibrations. According to Alexander Graham Bell and Elmer Gates, the human mind worked much like a radio transmission tower in that it is able to both send and receive vibrations. These vibrations are released by the brain. The imagination will receive thoughts that are released by other parts of the brain. When the brain is subjected to emotions, either negative or positive, the brain is stimulated and is able to pick up the vibrations from outside sources. Exceedingly high vibrations are the only ones that are going to be picked up on and carried from one brain to another. Thought is one of these types of energies that have a high rate of vibration. When our thoughts are backed by emotions, the vibrations are even higher. This is why you will notice that some thoughts seem to pass from one brain to another. Sex is the strongest of all emotions when it comes to the driving force that it provides as well as the intensity. When the brain is stimulated by sexual energy, it is going to vibrate at a much higher rate than when it is not stimulated by sexual energy. When you are able to transfer that sexual energy into energy to reach your goals, the thoughts that you have about your goals are going to vibrate at an extremely high rate. By using this method, you are able to use your emotions to increase the vibrations of your thoughts in order to ensure that your subconscious mind not only picks up on them, but acts upon them as well. It was during the Depression that people began to realize just how unimportant tangible things were. Perhaps someday we will begin to learn that the other self, the non-physical self, is of much more importance than possessing everything that we could ever dream of in our lifetime. People tend to speak lightly about the things which they cannot see, the things which they do not fully understand. We are subject to the intangible things in this world, those things which we were unable to control, such as the weather, gravity, or lightning. We try to understand them, to learn all we can about them, yet we are still unable to take control of them, even when we try. We know very little about the workings of the brain, and yet we believe that it is going to work for us. Therefore, we should, even though we know very little about the subconscious, accept that if we plant the right seeds, it will work for us as well. Just after the Depression, scientists started focusing their studies on telepathy and clairvoyance. Today, it seems either you believe in it or you do not. However, then it was found that when one possesses one of these, they tend to possess the other. They may also possess other abilities, such as prophetic dreams. If these powers do exist, and I am not saying that they do or they do not, they are able to exist in a way that we are still unable to explain them. Opening the door to wisdom. The 13th step to obtain the wealth which you desire is the sixth sense. It is through the sixth sense that infinite intelligence can be communicated without any effort from the person seeing the information. The sixth sense is part of the subconscious mind, which is known as the creative imagination. It is the place where all ideas and thoughts originate. It is not something that can be described to a person who has no experience with it, because there is nothing else that it can be compared to. The only way for a person to understand the sixth sense is through meditation. The sixth sense is the way that the mind connects to infinite intelligence, which means that it is both physical and spiritual. After learning all of the principles that are described in this book, you will be able to accept that this information concerning the sixth sense is true. The sixth sense is going to warn you when you are in danger, and it will help you to avoid any dangers that could come your way. It is also able to notify you when there are opportunities that you should embrace in your life. Along with the sixth sense comes what the author describes as a guardian angel who will come to your aid as well as do your bidding. Whether or not this is true, one can only know by following the information described in this book. The sixth sense can appear as a miracle only because the method in which it operates is not understood. When one begins to understand psychology, you will understand that a person becomes what they are because of their thoughts and their desires. Every desire that we have can cause a person to seek a way in which they can manifest that desire into their reality. We also know that through self-suggestion, we can build character, and in fact, self-suggestion is the main way that a person builds their character. This means that right now you are equipped with the knowledge that you need to rebuild your character. It is at this point that the author starts talking about imaginary council meetings that he held with what he called his cabinet. It is this cabinet that he called upon for the knowledge that he was looking for, speaking to the members of this cabinet in an audible voice. You can create a cabinet like this as well. You should choose only the people that you respect the most. These people do not have to be alive because all of the conversations are held in your imagination. When you hold your council meetings, you will visualize all of the other members of your council sitting right in front of you, looking at you as you speak to them. You will hear their voices as they talk to you and provide you with the knowledge that you wish to obtain. Creating this imaginary council will allow you to open yourself up to your sixth sense. Stop letting fear stand in your way. As we finish up this book, it is time for you to take inventory of yourself. Pay attention to the fear that you are letting stand in your way. You can begin by understanding the 3 enemies of success that you need to remove from your life. When these 3 enemies remain in your mind, you will never be able to get the sixth sense to function properly. The enemies are fear, doubt, and indecision. Indecision can be thought of as the seed of fear. When you mix indecision with doubt, it creates fear. Oftentimes this happens slowly, which is why the 3 are so dangerous. They are able to grow in the mind without being detected. Before you are able to master these enemies, you first have to be able to detect them. There are 6 basic fears that every human can suffer from. These include the fear of poverty, criticism, bad health, losing a loved one, growing old, and dying. Of course, these are not all of the fears that a person can suffer from, but the rest are minor in comparison to these. Take a few moments and determine if you suffer from any of the fears listed above. Fear is nothing more than a state of mind, which means that it can be controlled and directed at your will. Think about doctors who go into work every day. They deal with sick people who are contagious, but that does not stop them from treating their patients. They know that the disease can be spread to other people, but they go into their patients' rooms without fear. Why do they not get sick? Some would say because they do not fear getting sick. They walk into the room lacking all fear. Earlier, we talked about how it was possible for a person to create anything without it first taking on the form of a thought. As soon as a thought is born, a person's impulses begin to work in order to make that thought into a reality. It does not matter if the thought was made voluntarily or involuntarily. Thinking about this, you can begin to understand why one person may seem to be extremely lucky in life, while another person who has more experience or a greater ability seems to be riddled with misfortune. This can be explained through understanding the person's mind and the thoughts that they have. The person who seems to be extremely lucky is more likely to be in control of their thoughts, while the second person, the one that suffers misfortune, is not. Nature has given us as humans complete control over only one thing in this world, and that is our thoughts. Given this bit of information, we must understand how important it is for us to take control of our thoughts. Allowing fear to take control of our thoughts is never going to allow us to obtain the wealth that we desire. Along with fear is the susceptibility to negative influences. If you want to accumulate wealth, you must remove all negative influences from your life. If you started reading this book in an effort to accumulate wealth, you must take the time to ensure that you are not susceptible to negative influences. One of the easiest ways for you to protect yourself from negative influences is by making sure that you are thinking for yourself. You should never allow your thoughts to be influenced by the ideas or opinions of other people, especially if those ideas or people are negative. You have control over your thoughts, and it is up to you to ensure that those thoughts are not influenced negatively by those around you, the events that are happening around you, or by you. The power of the mind is immeasurable. As humans, we have the ability to use our minds to create everything that we could ever desire if we are willing to understand how to do so. Throughout this book, multiple techniques were discussed as to how a person can use their mind to grow rich. Not only rich in wealth, but rich in knowledge and in spirit as well. While each of these techniques are powerful on their own, when they are all put together and used in the way described in this book, you can actually think and grow rich by using the power of your mind. Scientists are just beginning to tap into the power of the mind, but you have all of the knowledge that you need in order to do so right now. No longer do you have to fear poverty if you have a deep desire to obtain wealth. No longer do you have to spend your time wondering how you can reach your goal of obtaining wealth. By unlocking the power of the mind, you have within you the ability to create all of the wealth that you could ever need.